Yeah. Could we just have in mind the refuah of Baruch Bendit Ben Sivia?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Another relative of yours?
No, someone in the neighborhood that needs a lot of refuah.
That's what's his name, Nathan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, refuah shalem. Baruch Bendit Ben what?
Sivia.
View.
Refuah shalem.
Right.
Okay, so where did we leave off? This is a Gishmak Daf. Of course, it's on a Friday, so it's we got to the Mishna, right? You can hear me, okay?
Yeah, we're at the Mishna.
Okay, I'm saying everybody can hear me, okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Mishna, yeah, nice and tavshel l'say chabar b'shvil sheyeh shama. You're allowed to put tavshel, cooked foods, into a bar so that it should be watched. Now, this bar, Rashi says, is talking about a bar that doesn't have any water in it. So basically, instead of refrigeration, we had that a few times with radishes. You keep them in the ground in order to keep them cool. So you put in the tavshel into a bar. Now, what would be the wrong with that? The Gemara is going to ask, what's the chiddush? What should be wrong? And then you take nice water and you put it into bad water in order to be cold. Meaning you're not mixing the actual water. You're taking a water bottle and put it into the river in order for it to get cool. You're allowed to put cold water into the sun in order that it should get heated up. And we'll see in the Gemara about that too. And then Misha Nashru Kaleb B'derech, somebody whose kalim got wet when he was traveling. Mahalach ben, he can continue walking. He doesn't have to take off the clothing, even though he may squeeze the clothing out while he's walking, but that's not a concern. And there's no concern about him squeezing it out, right? I think that's because he doesn't particularly care. But when he reaches the yard, the outer yard of his house, so he's allowed to spread it out in the sun, but he can't do it when people can see him. Right? This is a particular famous Mishna here where we're saying that it's maris ayin, but you're not allowed to do something in front of other people, but in private you are allowed to do it. So the Gemara is going to discuss that. Yeah? Okay, so talk to Gemara. Pshita. It's possible you could put something into a bar. Why not? The same in Nigzar Mashum Ashru Yeguma. Well, I would think that it should be asur because you might end up smoothing out the holes in the ground. Kamash Malan, that there's no chashash for that. First, amayim hayafim b'roim. The nice water and the bad water, pshita. Seifa tzrichalei. No, you need it for the seifa. It's a tiny b'chama. You put the cold water in the heat, in the sun. Hanami pshita. That's also pashit. Why can't you put the water in the sun? So the same in Nigzar Dilma Asila Tmuni Beremet. No, I would think that maybe you have to make a gezerah that you are going to end up putting it into coal and mixing around the coals, kamash malan, that you're allowed to put things in the sun, which we discussed many blot ago, right? Which is a fascinating halacha that something that gets heated up by the sun, you're not allowed to cook it on. Meaning you can't heat up water inside your car window. Let's say you keep water on inside your car window because that's going to get heated up a lot stronger. But to put the water straight in the sun, that's allowed. Yeah, it's a very interesting difference. Yeah, fine. Misha Nashru. So Amar Rav Yehuda Marav, this is probably one also from the more famous Gemaras in Shas. Amar Rav Yehuda Marav, Kamak Shas Chacham B'nei Maras Ayin Afilu B'Chadr Chadar Masa. We know the rule that any place the Chachamim says that something's also for Maras Ayin, you're not allowed to do it even in a room within a room. Right? Meaning, what's basically the Gemara saying? That Maras Ayin is not necessarily for other people. Maras Ayin is even for yourself. Right? Otherwise, why wouldn't you be allowed to do it in a Chadri Chadarim? Nobody's seeing you. Elamai, Maras Ayin is for you. The Tanan, we have in the Mishnah, it says in the Mishnah, though, you can spread out your clothing in the sun, but not what people could see. What's the problem? People are going to think you did laundry. If people see you spreading out your wet clothing on your lawn in the sun, they're going to think you washed your clothing, and you didn't. Right? So you see clearly our Mishnah, but our Mishnah says you are allowed to do it, not when people are not around. Oh, what happened to Chadri Chadarim? So Gemara answers, Tanai, the Machlekes Tanaim, the Tani Shaytchan v'chama v'loy kenegedam. You're allowed to put it in the sun, but not negedam. Rabbi Elazar of Shimon, Eitzin and Rabbi Elazar of Shimon, Aser, and they say you're not allowed to. So, and we pass on like Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shimon, and therefore you're not allowed to spread out your clothing at all, even in Chadri Chadarim. Okay? So it's I don't know how much negei lemaisa this is, but this is when you come in from a rainstorm and your coat is wet or your suit is wet, you're not allowed to hang it up in your house. You're not allowed to hang it up in a place that you would normally hang it up to dry, because it looks like you're going to be you did laundry, right? If somebody soaks your suit, somebody spills something, you want to hang it up to dry, you're not allowed to, right? Because it looks like Maris Nine. Yeah. Now it's interesting that the place can say that if it's polyester and stuff like that, then it's okay. And also anything that normally gets dry cleaned, right? Like a suit, nobody's going to think that you got it, you washed it in a washing machine and hung it up. So then that would be allowed to be hung up. But anything that anybody sees is not going to think that it's a problem, then then you're allowed to do that. Yeah. Well, which even Chadri Chadarim what?
Shirt.
That a suit?
Yeah.
Even in front of the whole world, you're allowed to hang it up, because when I see you hanging a suit outside your house to dry, I don't have a havamina that you washed it in a washing machine.
No, but
right?
A shirt.
What do you say? A shirt? No, a shirt. Plenty of people do wash in the washing machine. So a shirt you would not be able to hang out. Yes, that's a good point. Right? A shirt you would not.
Even
what?
Even in your room?
No.
What?
A shirt? What do you mean? A shirt you cannot hang up even in your room. Yes. Even in your room, you're not allowed to hang up your shirt. Yes. Unless you hang it up like someplace where nobody would ever, the person say that too. If you'd hang it up someplace where nobody would ever think that you're drying it, let's say on the back of a chair or something like that, right? Then maybe you're allowed to do that. I think the person can say you are allowed to do that, because then nobody's going to think that you're drying your laundry over there. Right? Fine. Okay, weiter. So Amar Rav Huna, this next Gemara also a major Gemara.
What happens if it's raining?
Yeah.
Shaq, what happens if it's raining that day? Everyone's going to know that it's because of the rain. You didn't do not because he did laundry.
That's true. But since most of the time when people hang up their stuff, it's hanging up to dry from washing it. So therefore, we have to be choshed that people are going to think that it's that you were doing laundry. Even though, in that case, many people will not think that, but they're not mechalek. As far as I remember, they're not mechalek. Okay? Now, this next Gemara also, famous machlekes Rashi and Tosfos. Amar Rav Huna, Hamenayer talisa b'Shabbos. Let's say you shake out your talis on Shabbos, chayiv chatos. You're chayiv chatos, right? That means it's a doraisa to shake out your talis. Now, talis obviously doesn't mean a talis. It means any clothing. Now, shake it out from what? So look at Tosfos first before we do Rashi. Hamenayer talisa, Pirush, the top Tosfos, Pirush ben Chananel min hatal she'olav. You're shaking it out from the dew that's on it. Dahainu kibus, the libun. Right? It's kibus and libun. It looks like we're laundering it. Chayiv chatas. Chein mashmid avidumid the kumsa the Rav Yosef. Al benir and al afar it appears bekunches, but shaking it from dirt, like Rashi says, ein nirashi shayich libun. That's not called laundering. So Tosfos holds that you're knocking it out. When you're knocking out your talis, you're knocking it out from water. Rashi learns it's from offer. Big difference. Because if you learn like Tosfos, right, and you get your hat falls on the floor and gets full of dust, right, or your jacket gets full of dust, or somebody steps on your clothing, whatever it is, according to Tosfos, you can shake it out on Shabbos, no problem. According to Rashi, you can't. According to Rashi, it might be an Issa D'Oraisa. Yeah, which Rabbi Akiva Eiger already asked on the Rashi exactly how can that be? Rashi says to himself, okay, whatever it is, how do we pass in Shulchan Aruch? Shulchan Aruch paskins like Tosfos, and therefore, according to the Mechaber, I don't know how Svardim are knowing, but if your suit gets dirty, go right ahead and knock it out. Knock out all the dust as much as you want. However, the Ramah says that we should be machmir like Rashi and then you should not knock off your suit from dust, right? So therefore we have to be machmir. That's why everybody gets all nervous when they're shaking out when their suits get dirty, that they don't shake it out.
Yaakov, what is
what's the what?
What's the practicality of Tosfos? If it gets wet, you can't shake it out. That's what he's saying. So
Correct. Right. Exactly.
So during the Suda, you spilled soda on a tablecloth. You can't take that tablecloth off.
You can't. You can't take it. You can take it off. You can't shake it out. You know, what's the first thing you do when you come in from the rain with your raincoat? You shake it like that, right?
Right.
So that you can't do according to Tosfos.
I'm saying you can't. Okay, very good.
Yeah. But again, if it's polyester, it could be it's not an issue. If it's only if it's wool, could be polyester. Could be it's less of an issue because that's not something that it doesn't get absorbed inside it, sort of like plastic. But yeah, that comes out with machmir like both. So therefore, if you get water all over your clothing, you can't shake it out, or your hat, right? The hat, you get stuck in the rain with your hat, you can't shake out the hat, and if your hat gets dusty, according to the Gemara, you can't shake off the dust either, right? But then the Gemara qualifies and says, "V'lo yamaron," back in the Gemara, "V'lo yamaron." That's only talking about new clothing. But if it's old clothing, there's no issue. We only said it by black clothing. But white and red clothing, that's not an issue. And that's only if you're makpid. Meaning, if you don't care about the dust, then you are allowed to knock it off. So if you're a slob, right, then you don't care about your dusty clothing, so then you can do it, right? Of course.
If you don't care, then why are you doing it?
Exactly. That the Poskim actually discuss that. The Poskim say if you don't care, why are you doing it? Elamai, you do care, right? So the Poskim has different ways of.
Well, no. What if you don't care, your wife?
Yeah, you might care, but it's not mental to look around like that.
Right. So the Poskim, that's what the Poskim do discuss. The Poskim discuss that if somebody else cares and you don't care, is that considered caring? I don't remember now what they come out with, but yeah, that's
Also, I might have a stained shirt, a lump of cholent I want to knock off.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's considered absorbed in. Right.
I hear, and also according to Tosfos, that it's the water. Is that because it goes in and removes dirt, or just removing the water is kibbutz?
What are you asking?
According to Tosfos, that it's the water that's the answer, because it gets absorbed. Is that because it got absorbed into the clothing and removed dirt that was absorbed in? Or simply, if I have a brand new, clean, pristine shirt, and it gets wet, is shaking the water off still usher?
Yeah, I don't see why shouldn't it be usher.
There's nothing to clean.
Why? Because it's just water.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but that's part of the gezerah. Anytime water gets absorbed in clothing, then it becomes a problem.
No, but this isn't a gezerah. This is chayiv chatas. This is a deraisa.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm saying when they're saying chayiv chatas, that's part of it. Anytime there's water inside the shirt, anything like that, that's what they said is part of the chayiv chatas.
There's nothing to do with cleaning. It's okay.
Correct. Yeah. That's the way I understand it. Yeah. Fine. Okay. Ula ikla pumpatisa. Ula traveled to pumpatisa. Chazar rabbanan the kamanafti kalmayu. Right. So he saw the people that they were knocking out their clothing. Right, on Shabbos. Amar kamachalin rabbanon Shabbos. They're being machal Shabbos. Amar lu Rav Yehuda. The food say le ba'apeh. Shake it out in his face. Do it in his face, Rabbanon, like you were saying this morning. In your face. The Reb Shlomo did it with the Kiddush Shalom. In your face with that. Do it in his face because it's no problem. Anam le kapdin and midi. We don't care at all. Since we don't care, we're allowed to shake them out. Which again gets to your same question, which is if they don't care, so why are they shaking it out? Yeah? Fine. Okay. Abai was standing in front of Rav Yosef. He said, bring me my hat. and then he saw that there was some dew on it, right? It was wet. So he didn't want to give it to him, right? Because he wasn't sure if Rabbi Yosef was going to knock it out or not. Shake it out and throw it. Shadi means throw it. Anan like abdinami. We don't care about this, so therefore we're allowed to do it. Yeah, fine. Now, Taisa says that now the Gemara gets involved with folding talesim, also a very practical case, only based on because since we're already talking about talesim, so therefore the Gemara continues to talk about talesim.
Can I ask? Is this Gemara of Abaya? Rav Yosef, sorry. Araya, is this the first black hat?
Oh, I was wondering that. It's at mashma like they wore black, though, right?
Yeah, it says, the whole Isser is only with black, and he wore a hat. This is a black hat.
Right. And I can't deny that. Sounds like it. Yeah. If you walk around with the talus folded on your shoulders on Shabbos, right, then you're chayiv chatos. Those that sell clothing, so they fold up they fold up the talises and they put it on their shoulder. I mean, even though they're wearing it, but since they're folding it, in both these cases, they're still wearing it, but they're folding it up. So therefore, Shabbos chayav and chatos. It doesn't only mean people that sell clothing. Amru, they said again. Amru. They didn't just say those that sell clothing. That's the derech of Michael to go that way. And a store owner that goes out with money that's wrapped in his shirt, he's chayav chatos. That's the derech. So anytime you basically what you're doing with all these cases is you're folding the clothing in a way, even though you're wearing it, you're folding it up in a way that's not normally worn. So therefore, that extra clothing, since you're not using it, is considered maybe even your chayav chatos. Right? Let's just see we'll get to the practical. Ratonin, right? Says the shayla exactly what ratonin are. Let's just assume the name of people. They're allowed to go out with the sudar, like what do you call it? A sudar, like this shmata that's on their shoulders. Right? That's meaning you go with it hanging over your shoulder since that's the normal way to wear it, so that's fine. Some of you the ma'aser b'hurkanis b'noisha Rabbi Elazar ben Hurkanis. Sheyatzi b'sudar shal kseifa b'Shabbos. There was a ma'aser with Hurkanis, the son of Rabbi Elazar ben Hurkanis, that he went out with his sudar on his shoulders on Shabbos. Right? What he did is he kept a little string wrapped around his finger, right, in order that it would make it that it wouldn't fall. If it would fall off, he wouldn't end up carrying it. Right? When they came in front of Chum, what he did came in front of Chum. That's why even if they don't have it, even if he doesn't have it wrapped around the finger, it's not a problem because this is the regular way to go. Now I was playing baseball today, and it's quite bored. So I listened to 2 Daf Yomi Shabbos while I was a pitcher, and I had it. I know Rabbi, don't scream at me, but I had it in my earphone, and I was listening because it's boring. And Rabbi Leibowitz said that some say that this Rabbi Elazar, who was it? Rabbi Elazar ben Hurkanis is Rabbi Elazar HaKlir, the one that wrote most of the Kinnis. Right? It's interesting that it's on Yud Av. That I think he said Taisus and Chagiga, maybe said that. Okay, so then let's just finish to the Mishna, and then we'll discuss all these Gemara with the halach. The Bamine, sorry, I skipped. Right, so Dorish Abnacham Bar Avchista Mishmei Bar Avchista halacha Avalpi She'eini Makrucha Lebetz Myself. The halacha is even if you don't have this string wrapped around your fingers. Ula Ikla Lebei Asi Barhini.
Yaakov, just interrupt. You're supposed to be a litvak, and your mom is doing a ma'aser from Levi Yitzchak.
Why?
Even when they're playing baseball, they're trying to learn Gemara.
I know it wasn't. No, I know. That's why I said very clearly. It wasn't because I was trying to learn Gemara. I was just bored. I was just bored. I mean, that's all.
It's fine. I think
You're not talking about the
I think this is
what?
tomorrow. Isn't it tomorrow? Nebuchadnezzar is mentioned in the Gemara, or maybe the day after. Timely,
I
because
don't know.
the destruction of the first.
Yeah.
Basically,
I actually am sitting on the grass on the floor now. I just hopped that it's Yud Av, and I'm sitting on the floor because that's what the most quiet place I found to sit. I'm actually sitting on the floor. I'm wondering if that's not the right thing to do. Okay, what should I do?
it's certainly appropriate.
What?
It's certainly appropriate given that Yud Av was a day.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so we said okay. Ulu ikulave asi barhini. Ula traveled to the house of Asi Barini. What is the din of making a marziv on Shabbos? Right? It's now a marziv normally means a thing for water to travel, but it's some sort of thing of the way you wear a coat. So also last is marziv b'Shabbos. You're not allowed to do this marziv on Shabbos. My marziv. What is a marziv? It's some sort of pockets from Bavel. What's the din here? And over here, what's the din? He said, Aser. It's Aser. Amar Papa, Nokad High Klala Biyotza, take this rule in your hand. If the reason why you're folding up the clothing is because you want to just gather the clothing, then it's Aser. Koldilas Nias, if you want to just look nice, then it's Shari. However, he would used to make his take a sheet or a clothing and arrange it that it looked nice. Rav Dimi said one time Rebbe went out to the field. He had two sides of his talis on his shoulders, meaning it seems like he swapped the shoulders to make it like with the right side on the left side on the right side, sort of like what a general sometimes wears. So it's like an X on the front of his clothing. I'm on the front of Yeshua ben Zirus ben Chamav Sherameir. Yeshua ben Zirus, the son of the father of Rameir, which means his brother-in-law, right? If you do it like this, Rameir is not chayav chatas. Amalei diktik Rebbe Meir ad kan. Was Rameir so medactic like that? So shilshul Rebbe Talisai, but even so, he lowered it. Meaning Rebbe, we're saying he wasn't chayav chatas, but he still held it was aser. So Rebbe, in deference to it, did it, and he let it down. He let it hang normally. Shiasa Ravin, Amar Lo Yeshua ben Zirus Hava Eli Yeshua ben Chusaya HaYachasna Rabbi Kiva. It was somebody else who was the son-in-law of Rabbi Kiva. Amar Bazu Lo Chayav Rabbi Kiva Chatas, and he said Rabbi Kiva was not Mechayav Chatas. Amar like Diktur Rabbi Kiva Ad Kan. Does Rabbi Kiva so medactic that he still felt it was us? So Shilshah Rebbe Talisa. It's okay. So it's either Rebbe listening to Rameir or Rebbe listening to Rabbi Kiva. The author of Shmuel Bar Yehuda Amar Nishal Itmar. It was just the shiloh that was asked. The Rebbe asked. Rebbe didn't actually do it. He just asked about it. Now, what comes out from this is, again, we've discussed it a couple of times, but based on this sugya, can you fold up your sleeves? Can you roll up your sleeves and walk in the street? Or those that don't want to wear a talis in the street, can they roll up their talis? Can they roll up the talis and put it under their coat? So the Mishna says, Beferish, you are allowed to roll up your talis and put it under the coat because that's a regular way of doing it. So the basic rule is that if you do it for a look and because that's the way you want to look, so then you want to look like that, then it's fine. So, and if you don't, then it's not. So Rav Moshe Feinstein paskins that you are not allowed to roll up your sleeves and wear it in the street on Shabbos because you're carrying extra clothing for no good reason, which is what the Machmirim do. On the other hand, I'm thinking now there are certain people that they like that look of the sleeve like half rolled up. I think Israelis do that. No, they dafka want it to look like that. So if that's the case, then maybe even Rav Moshe would be Maida.
Shmuel shook his father.
Right, that's true, Taka. Right, very good. Right, so if that's
I roll up my
do.
sleeves also.
Yeah, good.
Oh, yeah, Shmuel, you hear?
That count?
Yeah,
Shmuel, you hear? Okay, good.
I do it because it never fits around my wrist, so I roll it up.
Right. No. Okay, but that's not good.
I know. So
you're
now
not doing it for look. You're fast. No, so Rav Moshe holds it's also. Rav Nissen Karelitz holds it's mutter. I personally never ever button my sleeves ever. So, and it's not the looks. It's just strictly laziness. I don't know, whatever it is. So according to the
I mean, a lot of yeshiva bachim do it.
no, but a lot of yeshiva do it because they like that look. They like that look.
So it's not a problem.
What?
So it's
Yeah,
not
if you like that look, it's not a problem.
I forgot. I heard a shir one time by a Rav who was a Talmud of Aaron Cutler. I don't remember who. And he said that in Lakewood back in the day, they wore the jackets over their arms, and Aaron said that was okay.
Over their arms?
Like they wore it over their shoulders. No, over their shoulders.
Like Eretz Yisrael style.
You mean they didn't? You mean it was on their shoulders? Their arms weren't inside the
sleeves. Yeah.
Parrot,
right. So that would be.
Parrot, your father told Parrot you have to do it during the week because then he could do it on Shabbos.
But that's a little different because that's not extra clothing. That's just regular. That's derech malbush. Okay, it's sort of the same. It's a similar. It's a similar case.
Could you wear the talis in the winter if you're cold?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, as long as you and also if you like that look, then it's okay. Yeah, okay, fine. Dr. Mishna. What?
No, weiter.
Okay, weiter. Dr. Mishna. Roiches b'mei ma'arav b'mei tferia. Been a topic. If somebody washes himself in a cave, in the water of a cave, and makes tferia, in the water of tferia, right? Chamei tferia, in a topic, and he dries himself with a towel. Afilu be'eser luntias. Even if he dries himself with 10 towels, lo yaviyim the other he can't carry them in his hand. Why? Because we're afraid that he's going to squeeze out the towels. Not because obviously we're talking about where there's an eruv. But 10 people can dry themselves off with one talis. Their hands, their feet, and their face, and they can carry it too. Why? Because 10 people are going to remind themselves not to squeeze it out. Like we mentioned many times, you are allowed to take oil and smear it on you. That's what sachin, and you can rub it in. But you can't do it like very strong, like a massage. And you're not allowed to scrape your skin. Ein yarden Kordima, you're not allowed to go down to this river called Kordima. We'll see in the Gemara all these things. Afiktivisin that we had a couple of blot ago. You're not allowed to make this food that's going to make you throw up because that's refuah. Vein matzin is a cotton. You're not allowed to put a cotton's bones, right? When a baby's born, sometimes you have to straighten out its bones. So you're not allowed to do that. Vein machzirin is a shever, and you're not allowed to put back a broken bone. Mishin nifrika yod if somebody's hand or foot gets dislocated, you're not allowed to put cold water in it, and I guess cold water puts it back. But you're allowed to wash in the regular way. If you get healed, you do get healed, right? Because that wasn't your intention. So that made we're saying Meimara made Tferia, so must be it's the same thing, right? Ma made Tferia chamin, af Meimara chamin. Just like made the water Tferia is hot, so must be the cave is also hot. So now, but the question is, the Mishna says the lashon of haroichet. Roichet means one who did wash. Doesn't say that you're allowed to wash in chamei tferia, in the hot water. It says if you did. So haroichet di'evid in, right? Di'evid means di'avad. If you did it, yes. L'chatchila, you're not allowed to do it. Mechlal. So what can we infer from this? That l'shtatif, but if it's to take a shower, called gufay afilu l'chatchila shapadami, to wash your whole body, even l'chatchila you're allowed to do it. Money, so who's the Tana? Reb Shimon, it's Reb Shimon. The Tana, lo yishtat avad and bein b'cham and bein mitzoyin. The Reb Meir. Reb Meir says, you're not allowed to take a shower, not with hot, not with cold. Reb Shimon matir. Reb Shimon says, mutter. Reb Yudah, b'cham and also b'tzoyin and mutter. With hot, it's also with cold, it's mutter. And that is the way we passed in the Me'ikar Adin. You are allowed to take a cold shower on Shabbos. There was a takana that you really can't, that you shouldn't. And that's really that takana that Reb Moshe says, that really that takana was on a bath. And Reb Moshe says on a very hot day, you are allowed to take a cold shower.
Schita.
What?
Schita.
It's just a chashash, and you got to be careful with the hair. But we said really there's no schita in hair, so you just have to be careful with the towel and all that. Fine. You're allowed to use even 10 towels. Reisha Rabusa Kamashmalam, Sefer Rabusa Kamashmalam. The Reish is telling you a chiddush and the Sefer is telling you Reish Rabusa Kamashmalam. Dafilu Hani B'Loi Nefishi B'Hu Maya. Even if you're going to use 10 towels, which means you're not going to have much water in any of the towels. Give it the chadu since it's one person. Also, you may by mistake come to squeeze it. The Sefer the Sefer is also telling you a chiddush. Afilu hani denafishi b'umaya. Since 10 people in the Sefer, right? 10 people using one towel, there's gonna be a lot of water in it. Given the rabbim, since it's a rabbim midkariya adadi, they're gonna remind each other not to, by mistake, squeeze out the towel. Fine. A person can dry himself with a towel and put it by a window. But he should not give the towel to the bathhouse attendant because they're chayshid on that. They're not too frum, so they're chayshid that they're going to squeeze it out so they can give the towel to somebody else. Reb Shimon says, no, you're allowed to use an aluntis and you're allowed to bring it to your house. Meaning he's chaylik on our Mishna. He says you're allowed to dry yourself with a towel. By the way, you see from this Gemara that you're allowed to dry, you're allowed to use a towel. Right? And you bring it into your house. What's the halacha? Amalei, Harab Shimon, Harebi, Hashmuel, Harab Yochanan. We have Reb Shimon, we have Rebbe, and Shmuel and Reb Yochanan that all say that you're allowed to. Reb Shimon Hadamon, Reb Shimon is what we just said. Rebbe, Titani, Amar Rebbe, Kishiyisi Lamdin Torah, Eter Reb Shimon Tekaya. When I was learning about Reb Shimon in Tekaya, how you minus Shemer Valuntis and Chatzah Lagag, we would carry oil and towels from the Chatzah to the roof, from the Gag with Karfif, and from the Gag to the Karfif, to the open field, until we got to the Mayan that they washed over there. So clearly you see that he held that you're allowed to carry the towel. Shmuel, the Amar of Yudam, Shmuel, the Amar of Yudam, Shmuel, Mistapik Adam Baluntis, Umevia Biyadeh, Shmuel says that you're allowed to take in a towel and bring it to your house. If Yochanan, the Amar of Bechia, Barabba, Amar Yochanan, Lachim, Mistapik Adam Baluntis, Umevia Biyadeh, Rabbi Yochanan said also you're allowed to use a towel and carry it. Rabbi Yochanan, did Rabbi Yochanan really say this? Rabbi Yochanan, halacha stam Mishna, halacha is like the stam Mishna. If it's not in topic afilu the Esther aluntis lo yavim biyadeh. Even if you carry 10 towels, you don't bring it in your hand. Hauka ben Chakinai, Masnila. He learned it like ben Chakinai, right? So Ben who holds that he said it's not a what do you call it? It's meaning it says that the Mishnah, he had in his version of the Mishnah that it was Ben Chakinai, it wasn't a Stam Mishnah. So therefore he doesn't have to pass like that. Right? Normally pass like Stam Mishnah. Our version of the Mishnah is that it was a Stam Mishnah. His version was not. The bathhouse guys can bring the women towels to the bathhouse as long as they cover their head and right of their bodies with the towel, right? Like we're discussing, you have to wear the towel. If you want to carry that towel in the street, you got to wear it. So it's got to go over your head and right over your body. Yeah? Skinisa, right? It's some sort of, skinisa is also some sort of, how do you call it? A scarf. You need to tie both heads of the scarf together, so that means it's over your head so that it doesn't fall. Right? Now you can get the practical with this. Is what's the story with wearing the mask for Corona? Right, so certainly you can't walk around holding a mask on your face without an eruv. Right, you would have to have those strings around. If the strings break, then you certainly can. Even if one string breaks, maybe it'd be a problem. It has to be below the shoulders. When you're bringing clothing to the army people, because they have to take care of the armies that came through town. You should let it hang down lower than your shoulders so that it looks like at least it's some sort of clothing. So you can rub yourself with oil and give a massage. You can do it in your stomach on Shabbos. You can't do it like a weekday. Either you put on the oil and afterwards you rub it, or you do it both at one time. Either way, it's got to be done a little bit different than the norm. Okay? The guys have to go. Should we stop here? Should we stop here, or should we...
Keep going.
I think whoever left.
Whoever
left? Okay. Everybody here, man.
I'm good for another 3 hours. Man.
We got Minchas Yaakov at your house in 15 minutes. Or should I say 10, Doc?
Yeah, okay. Fine. Misamlin, you can't do it. You can't do it like a deep massage, a strong massage. And also lamed b'karchisa shel dimyosis. You're not allowed to stand on the ground of the dimyosis. That's some river. Because it's got some sort of healing powers. I guess the mud has healing powers. All the days of this dimyosis is 21 days. And Shavuos is part of the 21 days, meaning that's the whole time that it can heal you is those 21 days. So they ask the question: is Shavuos from the first of the 21 days or that last of the 21 days? So Tashema, Damar Shmuel, Kulu, Shakya, how do you say this word? Shakyani, right? Shakyani medivcha v'adatat. All these drinks that we had way back, right? What daf was that? I don't remember. We had about all those different types of drinks that heal you, right? So those all help from Divcha and Atzeres, from Pesach to Shavuos.
Kuf Yud, right? It was on Kuf Yud.
Kuf Yud, way back when, yeah. So right, so you see clearly that Shavuos is the end. The Gemara says, no, who the Kama the Karar Alma Mali. There, maybe when the world is cold, which it's a little colder then, that's when it helps. But here, maybe this standing on this river helps because of heat. So keeping the Chamam Alma Tfei Mali. Since it's hotter, then it's going to help more. So therefore, Shavuos would be the beginning of these 21 days, not the end. Okay. The wine of Progrisa and the water of the Dimyosis, Kipchu Asara Hashvatim Miyisrael. What it did is it ended up destroying really the 10 tribes. Shmuley on there still? No? Okay, well this is Shmuley, this is up your alley. I don't know, whatever you say it goes on over here, right? So the 10 tribes, the 10 lost tribes, right? That's what these are. Right? So they got lost. So why? Because of this fancy wine and water.
Too much pleasure.
What? Too much pleasure.
That wouldn't happen to him.
Yeah. That's what Rashi says. Right? They were balei hano. They were Isaac in that, and Mamela they didn't learn. So therefore, they ended up just losing touch.
Too much materialism.
Too much. That's exactly right. So Rav Elazar ben Aruch ikul lahasam. Rav Elazar ben Aruch traveled over there. Imshich Basrayu, and he traveled to these places, and he went with them, and he stayed there. He akar Talmudeh, and all his Talmud, all his learning was forgotten because he got so into Taivas. Unfortunately, you see that. You see a good guy, you see top guys in yeshiva, and then they go out to work and they just totally go the other way on it. Right? I
wasn't a top guy in yeshiva, I'm just saying.
Neither was I, Peretz. Neither was I. So, right? So, yeah. But Peretz, you're a good man. Don't worry. So, Ki Hadar, when he came back, right? He came back from wherever it was for, doing all these worldly things. Also, he got up to read in the Sefer Torah. He wanted to read the pasuk Omar Hacheresh Haya Libam. He totally botched it of how to pronounce it, and he said Hacheresh, right? Hacheresh Haya Libam, which is the heart was a cheresh, was mute. The heart didn't talk, right? So meaning that his heart is no longer. It's not really talking. So when the Rabbanan saw this, that he didn't even know how to read anymore. So they had Rachmanas for the Talmudeh, and all his Talmud came back. I know this time. Right, this is one of the big things that says in Musaf Svarim, you should always go where there's a place of Torah. And don't say that the Torah is going to come to you. You got to go run after the Torah. Because your friends will be makayim in your hand. And don't rely on your own understanding. Meaning, you can't be a loner. You have to go where there's good people. Yeah, Tana. His name wasn't Rav Nurai. Other Rav Nechem Yishmai. V'amilu Rav Elazar ben Aruch Shemai. He was Rav Elazar Aruch. V'lam Nikah Shemai Rav Nurai. Shemaner Einei Chachamim Ba'alacha. and because he opened up the eyes of the Chacham with Allah. That's how big he was, and then he forgot it. Havalei Miskardin. There's a very interesting halacha that comes out of this next Gemara. But you can't scrape skin. You can't use something to scrape skin. Tanabanan, because it's a weekday activity, not because there's any issa. Tanabanan, ain't goyim b'megareres b'Shabbos. You're not allowed to scrape the skin with a megareres on Shabbos. But let's say you walk barefoot in mud and excrement, then goyim kedarkoi. Then you're allowed to do ve'ena chashin. There's no chashash, right? So because there is no chashash that he's doing it for a fuah or for a weekday, for like a weekday type thing. He's doing it to get clean. So Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda, Avdalai Imei Megarashu the Kaspa. Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda, his mother made him a silver scraper to use on Shabbos. Now, what's the pshat? So since it's a special one made for Shabbos, therefore it's not called a weekday activity. Okay, based on this, right? Those that hold that you're allowed to brush your teeth on Shabbos, right? Say that you have to have a separate toothbrush for Shabbos, because if you use the same toothbrush for Shabbos, it's a weekday activity. Same thing with girls with combs or brushes, whatever they use. Even if they have one that's kosher, a lot of poskim can say that you have to use a separate brush for Shabbos, otherwise it's a weekday activity.
Isn't it the same thing with men's brushes?
Yeah. For those men that are doing
brush your hair.
For those that do like an isha and brush their hair. So then
Wow.
Zing.
Nice one.
You have it.
Yeah.
You had a brush.
Yeah. But anyway, so yes, you should have a separate brush for Shabbos. I don't get it exactly. Does that mean you have to have separate silverware for Shabbos? Does that mean that you have to have separate drinking glasses for Shabbos? I mean, I don't know clearly where it starts and where it stops, this whole thing.
It seems like Ein Dover Stove.
Correct, right. It doesn't where do you draw, which the truth be told is we probably should have everything special for Shabbos, right? But I don't know where you draw that it's a weekday activity. I never really understood the toothbrush thing or the brush thing. You know what I mean? It's just you brush your hair on Shabbos just like you brush your hair during the week, right? So I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, bye. So let's do a few more lines. Kordima, you can't go to this river. My time was Shapika because it's slippery. So since it's slippery, you might end up going in there you might end up falling and getting your clothing all wet. This is interesting, Amud, right? So you can't make this afiktivisin because it's refuah. That's only by making some sort of medication. But you're allowed to make yourself throw up on Shabbos by sticking your finger, your hand. Even during the week, it's also to make yourself throw up because it's hefsed eichlin. Right? The 9:45, we're going to do the daf at 9:45. 9:45. There's no reason to wait till 10. Yeah? 9:45 Motzei Shabbos. Yeah? Even during the week, you can't do it because what you're going to do is you're going to baltash it. Right? Then you're going to end up having to eat again if you make yourself throw up. Fine. Just one more. Vein matin is the cotton. You can't make the cotton's bones in Amarav Rachanam Rabbi Lefufe Yenuka B'Shabbos Shapidami. So we said this, I don't know how many blood ago. To wrap up a child on Shabbos, that's okay. We said you're not allowed to straighten out the bones. Hasan b'chumri sheder. There it's talking about doing his backbone. The michsi kebaina, because you look like you're building the person, right? But here we're just talking about the rest of his bones, so then that's allowed. Okay, that's enough. Okay.
It doesn't say baina, it says the michsi. It looks like.
It looks like baina, right? It looks like baina, not actual baina, right? Because Hashem created it.
So what's this?
Michsi kebaina. It's a gezerah that it looks like baina.
Maybe maybe stand on TV, but I would recommend if vertebrae look dislocated that you don't try this at home kind of thing.
I would say you'll have to take care of that.
By the way, Siakov, interesting about the Pentelos tribes that you mentioned. Rabbi Irons has a whole book about it, and he brings up there's a Yerushalmi in Shabbos, which must be around the same time here, that talks about the Sambachon, that river, and it's the only place it's mentioned. So where he went to travel,
Okay.
the Yerushalmi, I think, goes more into it and describes where he
Wow.
went. So
I hear.
it must be the Gemara or whatever. But no one else ever mentions it, which is where he get whatever.
Interesting.
Anyway, that's a very interesting part. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, very good, Shmuel. There you go. All right, fine. Have yourselves a Shabbat Shalom. Aaron Zwag doesn't look like you're anywhere close to making Shabbos. Yeah, me too.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You ready? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm
tired.
All right.
Long day.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Anyways.
All right, have a good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Have a good
Perez.
Shabbos.
Yeah,
You still there, parents?
still here. What's up?
Zakon's son-in-law's offers in YFR. I think he's sleeping by Kramer.
Zakon's?
Zakon's daughter's getting married this week.
Oh, no kidding. Mazel tov. Wow.
He's staying by